In the center of a busy city, there was an old hospital that had been around since the polio outbreaks in America. This building, showing signs of age and wear, had been a refuge for many over the years. I have vivid memories of this place, as I was once part of its hard-working staff. The section where I worked was in one of the hospital's original structures. It felt like a place frozen in time, holding onto its history. The walls seemed to carry stories of both strength and sadness from the past. Our department was an interesting combination of old and new elements, reflecting the ongoing efforts to maintain the old building. However, it seemed like the building itself didn't want to cooperate. Pipes hidden in the old walls would often burst unexpectedly, causing water to flood the corridors. The electrical system, old and strained, would sometimes fail, leaving us in the dark, and the air conditioning, which was supposed to make things more comfortable, frequently broke down, making it extremely hot and uncomfortable. In the midst of these regular issues, there was a particular room on our floor that was different. It was always mysteriously cold, while the rest of the place suffered from the heat due to the malfunctioning air conditioning. This room remained eerily chilly, as if something unseen was casting a cold shadow over it. Strange things kept happening in that room. The toilet, which was just a normal one with a hand-operated flush, would often flush by itself, catching us off guard. The paper towel dispenser, which was supposed to work automatically, would activate on its own, dispensing paper to no one. The most chilling event, however, involved a patient staying in that room. He was a clear-minded man, very alert, with no signs of mental confusion or hallucinations. He was only taking medication for blood pressure and to prevent blood clots. One day, he urgently asked to talk to a supervisor, sounding both scared and frustrated. He told us about a woman who would come into his room at night. She would just stand quietly at the end of his bed, a silent and spooky figure in the dark. He couldn't see her face, just the outline of her long hair. Then she would disappear as quietly as she had come, vanishing into the darkness. This story made everyone on our team feel uneasy. None of our night staff looked like that, and our security was tight, making it almost impossible for someone to just walk in. We never figured out who this long-haired woman was, adding another mystery to a building already full of strange happenings. Even now, I can't forget that hospital with its old floors and walls that seemed to hold secrets. It was a place where strange things happened just as often as we took care of our patients. The story of the woman with long hair, the always cold room, the toilet that flushed by itself. These memories are all part of a strange and mysterious time I spent in that old rehabilitation hospital. Another incident took place when I was in med school. Back in my medical school days, I had a job at a nursing home that felt more like a peaceful sanctuary than a medical facility. This was a place for those with memory issues, where a tranquil atmosphere prevailed and the residents, despite their fading recollections, appeared truly at peace. The cleanliness and order of the facility reflected the staff's commitment and care. It was in this setting that I experienced an event that remains vivid in my memory. A story that seems to straddle the boundary between the realms of the living and the departed. One of the long-term residents, Mr. B, was as much a fixture in the home as the furniture. He had been there since it first opened and was known for his set ways. He always sat in the same spot in the dining room, exuding a quiet sense of command. Every evening after dinner, he would enjoy exactly 3 scoops of strawberry ice cream, a simple delight that appeared to bring him great happiness. Afterwards, he would settle into his favorite chair by the window, staying there until exactly 11:30, deep in thought. He was somewhat cantankerous, but charming in his own way, a quaint elderly gentleman with his fixed hat. As time marches on, it eventually claimed Mr. B. Not long after his passing, his room was taken by a new resident, a woman who brought her own things but used the same bed and chair Mr. B had. On her first night, something strange happened. During my night shift, doing the usual tasks in the quiet hours, the new resident came to me, sounding worried. "There's a man in my room, he's telling me to leave," she explained. Thinking it might be another resident who often wandered at night, I went with her to check. However, we found her room empty, with no sign of anyone else. Thinking the wandering resident had already left, I helped her back to bed and went to check on him, only to find him sleeping soundly in his room. Not long after, the woman came to me again, more upset this time. "He's telling me to leave, saying this is his room," she said. We went back to her room, but again it was empty. She pointed to the armchair, her voice shaking, saying, "He wants me to move my chair and bring his back. He wants me out of his room." That's when I realized she was seeing Mr. B. Unsure of how to deal with such an unusual situation, I let the new resident stay near me at the nurse's station until the next shift came in. The CNA who took over was skeptical when I shared the story. She went straight to the new resident's room and, half annoyed, half disbelieving, she spoke to the empty space. "Mr. B, you've passed away. This isn't your room anymore. Please, let this lady sleep." Surprisingly, after that night, everything settled down. The new resident had no more disturbances, and there were no further reports of nighttime visitors. I finished my shift that night feeling both relieved and puzzled. My medical training had prepared me for the physical and the factual, but this was something else entirely. This experience was outside the scope of my textbooks and lectures. I come across something that couldn't be explained by logic, a hint from beyond that echoed in the halls of the nursing home. It was a reminder that sometimes in the stillness of the night, the past might make its presence felt, leaving us with stories that are as eerie as they are unexplainable.